All right. So, let me start off by saying I know I said I was going to stream basically this time last week. I ended up waking up at like 2 p.m. and had errands to run and other stuff, so I basically had to be a responsible adult. Sorry for that. So that's my plan though. I'm gonna basically try and make sure I do one night stream, either like a Friday night or a Saturday night every week. I think 2 nights in a row was just too much time out of my week until I get a bit more settled in. Right now I'm basically waiting. I fixed a stupid bug in itsulib, which is where a lot of my internal framework stuff comes from, my GUI system and a whole bunch of other things. Basically I kept pulling from this instead of this. Basically it just adds elements to the sub-element class that's inherited, and I kept pulling from what was passed in initially, so nothing was updating. So I'm waiting for that to push so I can update and grab the newer version, because I'm working off of a build system and stuff. Because it's a jar, I have to wait for it to compile and blah 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 blah. Long story short, speed up. Oh, just finished. Nice. Oh, failed. What? That's not good. It died unexpectedly. What? I'm sorry, what? Okay, I'm sorry, this is gonna take a bit. Oh, we can watch Circle CI in the background, I guess. Well, darn. Hello, one viewer. Welcome, first one of the day. Unless it's me. Am I talking to myself? That'd be the epic troll, right? That's probably me. Twitch just doesn't update fast enough. There we go. Okay, so Circle CI decided to break the first time. Alright, so it looks like this one's actually going to pass. Well, we can watch stereo. Oh, maybe not, because this is where it kind of just failed unexpectedly before, so we'll see. I think it should be okay. So, yeah, I guess if you really want to pull a jar or something of my stuff to play around with, then you can go to here. Femtocraft just relies on itsulib, so you need both. But yeah, just know that I don't endorse any of these as working builds. Use it in your own packs and stuff as apparel because there's literally nothing there. So yeah. I've been looking at GitLab as kind of a replacement for this. Right now I have this all stuff hosted on GitHub, and all the pushes get pushed to Circle CI, which builds them, and blah blah blah. And then in order for me to grab the itsulib as a dependency, so in Gradle I have to have Circle CI push it back to a different repository on GitHub, which actually stores a Maven repository, which then gets downloaded and uses a local Maven repository by some magical Gradle plugin thing that's just completely awful, and I kind of want to bypass it because it's literally two GitHub repositories, Gradle and Circle CI integration. I've been looking at GitLab. Unfortunately, GitLab only has like 6 runners available to their entire public, so I literally had to wait 18 hours for the runner to even start to run my thing and tell me that it had failed in the first place. So we'll see. I'm thinking about maybe getting a local Linux machine and throwing GitLab local on that, in which case that I should be literally the only runner on the machine, or Twilight Zone things start happening. But that's not going to happen for a bit, so I'm still stuck with this. But it appears to work. So basically what I just fixed, again, as I was saying, was the whole flow layout thing. I can show you the current version and what it's not doing, what I'm trying to get it to do, and what that fix does, so we're waiting for this actually to go through. Basically, for some reason, I noticed that whenever I was using my flow layouts, which is basically, it's just auto, all my GUI systems, basically, a GUI just can have multiple GUIs, and it's basically, a GUI can have other GUIs as children. It's, I think, the composite design pattern. Excuse me. So for some reason, my flow layout would only lay out things that were passed to it initially. I could update it in the list inside. So see, I only see the one thing. And for some reason, they wouldn't ever update. Well, I just found out that the issue was that the way Scala does constructors. So basically the thing is, so here's the flow layout constructor as it is on the current version. So I'm passing it something called elements, and I'm adding, but adding adds it to sub-elements. So actually what's actually happening is everything's pulling off of elements, aka what was passed in, and not actually caring about what was actually, what actually is currently stored. So elements. So all I had to do was just okay, I'm trying to remember how to do this now. itsulib release. Where's the version I need to update? And so I'm also playing with my mic settings, so hopefully you don't hear me breathing in the background anymore. I realized I had it too sensitive. itsulib 70. I want 73. Save this file. Resynchronize. Yeah, email alerts telling me my builds aren't breaking anymore. And then once this synchronizes, I'm looking here, we should see this update to what the fix actually is. Which is really silly, but basically I just have to add sub in front of every elements I had. But then if I start that up again, that list of one thing should actually be a working list. And it'll also mean that that list will dynamically update as you build machines. So if they have like 4 slots and there's a 2-slot machine you build, and there's a 4-slot machine available, that 4-slot machine shouldn't be available anymore. It'll disappear from the list. So real-time updates are always fun. And good, and that was a blocking bug, because actually preventing you from really using that thing to build stuff. So what I'm going to try and do today is actually we hook up the rendering for the cyber machines. Basically, the cyber base was responsible for it before. I'm going to hook it back to the actual building machine. I'm also going to basically make sure that it's distributed between the server and the client. So basically, the server tells the client, "Hey, I started." And then the server and client both independently update progression And then the server, when the server's progression finishes, it actually places the blocks. The client's just going to use progression for rendering it. Oh, I think it's just stuff happening while it's pulling in dependencies, hopefully. Yeah, but then what's going to, also with something to think about is what happens if you log off in the middle of a building, right? Well, the server is going to store the information, but the client won't have the I started ping anymore. So basically, also, if the machine has to send an update block, it also needs to send the current progression percentage. So it'll sync back up after a reload or something. Like, they'll both sync out what time they actually were, well, what progression percentage they actually are at, but then they're still independent from then on. Alright, so what broke? Why did syncing break? Unless this is just that we moved to that jar. Unable to resolve. Interesting. Hold on, I might have an issue here. Let me check that. The version number increment. The 73 was the one that failed. I was dumb and just put the wrong one in. Whoops. There you go. Alright, so once this all, there you go. Stop it. Just stop. Stop doing everything, please. Tell the J. The problems with working with distributed jars, right? But it also means that I don't have to actually have itsulib set up and hooked up. I can just pull Femtocraft and synchronize, and it'll pull itsulib for me, which is very nice. But it also means I have to wait for itsulib to go through that whole compile thing and update this. Trade-offs. But this is one worth doing. Okay. Yes, and as I was going to say, that's what I'm going to try and do today is actually hook. Whatever. I'll hook this back up once. Yeah, so it looks like synchronizing strips my Scala SDK. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Do we have it? We have it now. Okay, so if we actually go back to... our GUI cyber base. We look at... Actually, we don't want GUI cyber base. We want GUI machine selection. We actually look at our GUI flow layout. Then all these should say sub-elements. Okay, so if we actually run this... we should see those automatically lay out again. Ugh.